My name is Will, and this past year has been complete hell for me. I lost my job, got kicked out of my apartment, and wound up living on the streets for a few months. I was at a homeless shelter waiting in line for the daily meal when one of the men in line started to openly complain.
"This shit tastes like shit. Y'all are trying to poison us,"
he shouted.
"I should just go sell my body on the street rather than waste my days here. You know there are quicker ways to make money than sitting around here waiting for government stimulus," he added.
Everyone ignored him. Everyone except me. Once I got my meal, I slid over to his table and introduced myself. "You sure were big talk in the line a second ago. You really know a quick way to make money? I don't care if it's illegal. I just want to try and recover from this shitty situation," I told him.
"Sure I do. I'm only here to actually avoid my old ball and chain. But a strapping young man like yourself, you got your whole future ahead of you. Don't waste it on this sort of shit," he said.
I told him I was interested, and we agreed to meet up and share a computer time that evening after dinner. I sat alongside him in the rec room as he logged into the private browser and typed in a website on the dark web.
"This place here usually shows what is selling the best. Trends change from time to time, so it doesn't hurt to be in the know," he explained.
As we searched the forum, I noticed quite a few links to supposedly discount movies that normally cost money from streaming apps like Disney and Hulu. "That sounds like Pirate Bay or something," I told him.
"Yeah, you've got a good eye. It looks like footage of movies is selling pretty big right now."
"Must be because of the virus raging," he commented. He typed in another search to show me how to find clients and explained,
"So what you'll need to do is agree to be a third-party seller for one of the bigger companies. Like this dude, Appertainment. He's willing to pay a 15% commission on any DVD sold from his website."
"That sounds easy enough. I used to work as a telemarketer and I was pretty good at selling people stuff," I admitted.
"Then this should be right up your alley. But do be careful. Oftentimes criminals use these DVDs to spread viruses to people's hard drives and such. Trolls on the internet. I would recommend you verify the content before you actually sell it. Make sure you aren't giving people more shit," he said.
The next day, I used my computer time to locate 3 different employers on the same web page. My job was simple. They would send me a copy of a pirated movie either from a streaming service that normally cost money or from some caught stream they had taken themselves. I didn't question it. I just accepted everything I could and agreed to let them send a copy of the movies to me. From there, it would be up to me to sell it. Since my computer time was limited, I chatted with friends at the shelter, convincing them to check their own emails. "I got something for you guys. A few awesome movies I think you will enjoy," I told them. For a while, it wasn't a bad situation. I sold 1 or 2 movies a week and had enough money for food and new clothes. I was still at the shelter, but at least it didn't feel like I was going to be trapped there forever. Eventually, I was able to get out of the shelter and move into a small, crappy apartment, and I increased my illegal movie operation. One seller in particular, a Korean distributor named World Movies, even wanted to sign me up for a permanent contract as their marketer. The contract was simple enough, or so I thought. All content sent by World Movies cannot be viewed except by a buying party. Employees of World Movies must never open any content from the company or risk losing all benefits. I was figuring it was just an excuse to make sure that someone didn't upload the movies they had hacked and stole online for free. In other words, they wanted to be sure they got their cut. I got into chat rooms finding customers left and right to sell my wares to. I had a sales pitch for every situation ready to type into the chat. "You will never find a movie like this on Hulu, and not at this price. You're wasting money every month on Netflix and maybe you watch like 5 things. At least this way you get your money's worth. I know you can't go see movies right now, so rather than pay for a premium service, just get the movies you want at half the price." I never even looked to see what movies I was selling. I figured any content was better than nothing at all. People were starving to watch something fresh and new, and rarely did they question where I got my movies. It was a mutual understanding between seller and client. They scratched my back and I scratched theirs. But it didn't last that long. One day I was checking my emails when I noticed a reply from one of my customers, demanding that I provide a refund.
"Your movies caused my wife to self-harm. I was in the other room cooking and I heard these otherworldly screams coming from the den. When I got in there, I saw she had taken a letter opener and plunged it into her eyes," the message read. Soon I got a dozen more similar messages, describing visceral accounts of people mutilating their bodies after watching the films I had sent. Reading through the experiences made my entire body shake, each one worse than the last. My first reaction was to try and contact the World Movies representative, but to my surprise, it looked like their entire website was shut down. No record even existed. I tried a different approach and went to the main forum and typed in a question. "Has anyone else had a bad experience working with World Movies?" I asked. I closed the laptop and tried to get some sleep. I couldn't help the people who had already been hurt, but maybe I could get to the bottom of what was happening. In the morning, I got a message from an anonymous user asking me to join in a private chat. They called themselves Benedict. "When did you work for World Movies?" they typed out. "For the past week, I sold about 10 of their movies to people across the web. I was expecting a 20% commission," I told them. "A payday is going to be the very least of your worries very soon," the user told me. "What do you mean?" I asked. "World Movies shut their doors to the public in 2008, at least 12 years ago," they replied. "Where did all their movies get sent?" "Some other operation must have taken up the name," I said. "You're not getting it, are you? All the films were confiscated by authorities, mostly destroyed or sealed up by federal lawsuits. The films you've been selling, they are real deaths," the reply came. "I don't believe you. There has to be another explanation," I said. "Have you watched one of them?" "That's against company policy," I said. "Open one and tell me that you don't look straight into the pits of hell," they replied. The chat ended a moment later. I sat there for a long time, checking messages and debating what to do. Then, World Movies decided to make the decision for me and gave me one final movie to review. To receive payment, watch this film. I had gone this far into their trap. It seemed fitting for me to fall all the way in at this point. I started it and sat back, feeling a cold chill run down the back of my neck as the title screen came up. Subject 76851, William Allcrest. Then I watched as it showed the last few weeks of my life through the lens of an outsider. Every movement I made on camera mimicked my actions in the real world. Going to the shelter, buying the films. Except the film changed some of the details. In this version, I was the one making these illegal movies. There was no third party. I was the one making people suffer and then filming it for sport. It was disgusting to watch, but I knew and understood what was happening even as the final screen flashed up. All information has been forwarded to authorities. Then I got a notification from my bank. All funds deposited. The irony of it being that no one will believe this sickens me as I wait for the cops to come. My name's Eric, and I am a beginner game designer. Now I know that this basically makes me look like a terrible scheduler. My head in the clouds and not realistic. If I want something, I should work for it, yeah? But the truth is, I've been realistic. My budget is slim, and I know the ideas I have will eventually be snatched by other bigger names if I don't jump on it first. That's what got me on the dark web. A friend of mine told me if there was a way for me to earn the money, it would be there. According to them, anything and everything can be bought, but the question becomes, what are you willing to pay? I didn't quite follow what he was saying at first. Weren't the backers the ones giving me the funds? It doesn't always work that way on the dark web. You know how on Kickstarter you have to make certain promises to the pledges? If you donate $15, I will send you a rubber ducky. Shit like that? Well, imagine it's the same sort of requests on the dark web market except far more illegal, and not as easily avoidable, he told me. I told him I would think it over. I had college and other general life duties to take care of and really didn't know when I would even get started on this pipe dream. But less than a week later, I saw another indie developer jumping out to make a game similar to mine, and I knew I couldn't just wait for a miracle. It was time to make deals with devils. So I got the right equipment to access the dark web and started searching the forums. I put out a dozen offers on different sites, offering my services for any sort of financial backing. Maybe I was a little drunk and not thinking straight, but I felt that I would be willing to give up anything just to make this project happen. A day or so later, I wasn't getting any hits,
No one was taking an interest. It made me feel like a failure. If I couldn't even get seedy underworld thugs to talk to me about my games, what chance did I stand in the real market? But I decided to try just one more site, a place called Shadow Sale, and wrote this. I know a lot of people come here asking for money and saying they will do anything for it, but I mean it. I don't care if I have to kill or rob or anything else under the sun. This means the world to me. I can't let it go. I will pay any price. Please, just someone help me. 20 minutes later, I got a response. Username, Mr. Death. Not exactly original, right? They typed out this message. Your offer intrigued me. This project must be something life-changing. Contact me on this private server ASAP. I couldn't believe my luck. I went immediately. The backer had a lot of questions for me. What sort of game was it? How would it work? Who would benefit? I did my best to answer them all. He was very interested. Not just because I said that I would be willing to give anything for it either. I could tell that this backer really thought I had a unique vision. There is a lot to unpack to this, Eric. Give me a little time to think it over, he said. Then he went dark. I waited all night, hoping and praying that this would be the answer I needed. Around 3:30 that early morning, a ping from my phone told me that they had sent over funds. It was 6 times how much I had even asked for. I was stunned. They sent a message along with it. Get started with the prototype. We will discuss the extra steps tomorrow. I didn't even get any sleep. Immediately, I started buying software, attending online classes to learn the right programs. This was exactly what I needed and more. But in the back of my mind, I wondered what they meant by extra steps. Were they planning to do something with my game once it was finished? I tried to push it aside and keep working. I wanted to prove their investment wasn't a mistake. The next day, sleep deprived, I sent a message and showed them what was done so far. I'm impressed. You're a man of your word. Now, tell me exactly what would be needed to create a user interface for this program, they asked. Are you talking like virtual reality? To be honest, I hadn't considered it, I said. The application of this game could be next-level tech, Eric. I suggest you start considering it, because companies like Oculus would be chomping at the bit to get near this, Mr. Death said. He wired me more money, insisting I get started right away. I can't. I have to get to work tomorrow, I said in the chat. Forget your job. The money I'm offering can sustain you. This project is all that matters now, they told me. Then they added a message that should have been another red flag to me. I will be sending some codes and specifics for the program tonight. Implement them immediately. I wasn't aware they were a programmer, so it struck me as odd. What did they want to add to my code? Was this a hack? Then I looked at the money again. I had come too far to stop now. So I started adding all the lines of code, making the algorithm exactly what they wanted it to be. It felt like a part of me was being sold just to get this done, but it was a price I was willing to pay. Fame couldn't possibly be far behind. After that, though, Mr. Death stopped contacting me despite all of my attempts to reach him. He had simply vanished. I was sure that it was something I had done, failing to properly understand the different programs he wanted me to add to the game. But I soon found out that wasn't the case at all. It was about a month later I was at a local indie conference, a game expo that showcased new projects coming out or on the horizon when I saw it. The exact prototype of my game on display, being sold by some shifty vendor. My blood boiled. I couldn't believe I had been tricked so easily. I ran up to the presenter to demand an explanation, but they just looked at me like I was crazy. This has been in development for a while, bud, so I suggest you just keep stepping. Unless you need me to call security, they said. It occurred to me I had literally no proof that the game was mine. When I had sent all the files to Mr. Death, I foolishly hadn't considered making backups. And now, as a result, my work was being claimed by someone else. Part of me wanted to be furious, but another part of me was proud. This was the result of my work, even if nobody recognized it. I could finally say that I had finished something. A sliver of a smile traced my lips as the first person came to try the game out and put on the Oculus headset. I waited patiently on the side to see what would happen. Less than 5 minutes later, the person started to scream and cry and tried to take off the headset in a panic. The smile on my face turned to worry. What was happening? The presenter helped them get the apparatus off and looked at their bloodshot eyes.
This thing is like a living nightmare! How the hell did it do that?
The customer asked as they left the booth. I approached the rep in concern and remarked, "What exactly does the VR show them?"
It monitors their brainwaves and presents their darkest fears to the light. Some people can't handle it. It's a bit of advanced AI, but we do have a consumer warning, he commented. He sounded nervous, like some of what the game was doing was unanticipated. I decided to give it a brief try, putting on the headset. What I saw still causes me anxiety. Somehow, the game was able to bring up traumatic memories from my childhood and bring them to life. It felt like the game was intruding on my thoughts. This isn't what I wanted at all. I wanted immersive, but this is insane, I realized as I took off the headset quickly. I saw other customers avoiding the booth now as they recognized the threat. They had turned my game into a death machine, causing pain and agony to anyone who played. I left the expo soon after and composed this warning to all out there on the dark web and mainstream media. I already have to face a sentence for my participation in the game design. The police have agreed to let me prepare this statement even though they don't believe me fully. Already the game is causing severe depression and self-harm to the first wave of players. It won't be long before worse things happen. I don't know what my game is going to do next, but I urge you that you must never play it.